What if I told you that every billionaire on earth uses 7 secret laws that they'll never teach you in school? While you're grinding 60-hour weeks, stressing about bills, and wondering why success feels impossible, there's an invisible game being played right above your head, and you're not even aware you're losing. Right now, as you're watching this video, money is flowing away from 99% of people and straight into the pockets of those who understand these ancient principles. We're not talking about investment strategies or business tactics. We're talking about spiritual laws that control every dollar on this planet. Here's what's really wild. These aren't new discoveries. The wealthiest families have been using these exact same principles for generations, passing them down like sacred secrets while the rest of us fight over scraps. But today, that changes. Today, you're going to learn the 7 hidden laws that govern money itself. And here's the kicker. These laws don't care about your background, your education, or even your current bank balance. They only care about one thing, whether you know how to use them. So buckle up, because what you're about to discover will completely flip everything you thought you knew about wealth. The conspiracy of words, how your mouth controls your bank account. You've been lied to about how money works. Every single day, without realizing it, you're using your mouth to program poverty into your life. And the wealthy, they know exactly how to use words as weapons of mass wealth creation. Here's the truth that will blow your mind. Every word that comes out of your mouth creates a spiritual blueprint that the universe must follow. When you say, "I'm broke," you're literally ordering the universe to keep you broke. When you complain about bills, you're programming more bills into your future. This isn't motivational fluff. This is how reality actually works. Think about the richest person you know. Listen to how they talk about money. They never say, "I can't afford it." Instead, they ask, "How can I afford it?" They don't joke about being poor because they understand that words are creation tools, not just sounds that disappear into the air. The ultra-wealthy have known this secret for centuries. John D. Rockefeller never spoke about lack. Henry Ford programmed success with every sentence. Even today, Jeff Bezos doesn't complain about expenses. He speaks in terms of investment and return. They guard their words like Fort Knox guards gold. But here's where it gets sinister. The system actually wants you to speak poorly about money. Every movie, TV show, and song conditions you to joke about being broke, to complain about the economy, to speak like a victim. Because as long as you're using victim language, you'll stay in victim circumstances. Your subconscious mind is listening to every word and taking orders. When you say, "Money doesn't grow on trees," your subconscious thinks, "Got it, no money." When you say, "I'm not good with money," it responds, "Roger that, financial failure activated." Your own mouth becomes your biggest enemy. The transformation happens the moment you realize your mouth isn't a thermometer, it's a thermostat. It doesn't just report your financial temperature, it sets it. The wealthy understand this and speak only what they want to multiply in their experience. Here's your first homework assignment. For the next 24 hours, catch yourself every single time you speak negatively about money. You'll be shocked at how often you program poverty without even realizing it. Every "I can't afford it," every "money's tight," every joke about being broke is a withdrawal from your spiritual bank account. Instead, start speaking like the wealthy. Say, "I'm abundantly provided for." Declare, "Money flows to me easily." Affirm, "I am wealthy in every way." Your logical mind will resist because your bank account doesn't match your words yet. But that's exactly the point. You must speak the change before you see the change. The wealthy know something that poor people don't. Reality follows language, not the other way around. They don't wait for their bank account to grow before speaking abundantly. They speak abundantly first. Then their bank account has no choice but to match their words. This is why lottery winners often go broke again. They never changed their internal language. Their words still program poverty, so poverty returns. But people who build lasting wealth, They mastered the art of financial vocabulary first. Starting today, your mouth becomes a sacred instrument of wealth creation. Every conversation is an opportunity to program abundance. Every sentence is either building your fortune or tearing it down. There's no neutral ground. The most successful people in history understood this law intuitively. Napoleon Hill discovered it when he studied 500 millionaires. Bob Proctor taught it for decades. Wallace Wattles wrote about it in 1910. This isn't New Age nonsense. This is old-school wealth technology that the elite have always known. Your assignment: replace every negative money statement with a positive declaration. Instead of "I can't afford it," say, "That's not a priority right now." Instead of "I'm broke," declare, "I'm building my wealth." Instead of complaining about bills, affirm, "I'm grateful for my ability to pay." Watch what happens when you guard your words like the precious seeds they are. Because in the next chapter, we're going to reveal how the wealthy use their money in a completely different way than everyone else, and why most people's approach to money actually repels wealth instead of attracting it. The circulation secret: why hoarding money makes you poorer. Here's something that will completely mess with your mind. The people with the most money are the ones who let it go the fastest. While broke, people clutch every dollar like their life depends on it. Millionaires are constantly moving money around like it's water flowing through their fingers. This goes against everything you've been taught about saving and being responsible with money. But there's a hidden truth that the wealthy understand. Money is energy, and energy must flow to multiply. When you hoard money out of fear, you're actually choking off the very supply you're trying to protect. Watch how rich people behave differently. They tip generously, they invest without hesitation, they spend on experiences and opportunities. Poor people see this and think, must be nice to have money to throw around. But they've got it backwards. These people have money because they throw it around, not in spite of it. The universe operates on the principle of circulation. Look at nature. Everything that's healthy is constantly moving. Rivers that flow stay fresh. Lakes that stagnate become toxic. Your blood must circulate or you die. The economy itself depends on money moving, not sitting still in bank accounts. But here's the part that most people miss. It's not just about spending money. It's about the energy you bring to the spending. When wealthy people release money, they do it with joy, confidence, and expectation of return. When poor people spend money, they do it with anxiety, resentment, and fear that they won't have enough. The wealthy have discovered something profound. Money responds to the emotions. You attach to it, release it with love and gratitude, and it returns multiplied. Release it with fear and reluctance, and you cut off its ability to come back to you. This is why tithing has been practiced by successful people throughout history. It's not about religion. It's about training yourself to release money with positive energy. When you give 10% of your income away with joy and expectation, you're programming your subconscious that there's always more where that came from. But most people get this completely wrong. They give money reluctantly, hoping something good might happen, treating it like throwing coins in a wishing well. That's not circulation. That's gambling. True circulation means releasing money with authority and declaration, commanding its return through conscious intent. Here's what the ultra-wealthy know that you don't. Every dollar you release should be accompanied by a spoken declaration of its multiplication. When they pay bills, they don't grimace. They declare, "This payment activates my supply channels." When they invest, they don't worry. They affirm, "This seed produces abundant harvest." The middle class hoards money in savings accounts, earning 2% interest, while inflation eats it alive. The wealthy circulate money through investments, businesses, and opportunities that multiply it exponentially. They understand that safety isn't found in accumulation. It's found in acceleration. This principle works even when you don't have much money. Start with whatever you have. Release it with blessing instead of anxiety. Pay your bills with gratitude instead of resentment. Give gifts with joy instead of obligation. Watch how this shift in energy completely transforms your relationship with money. The most successful entrepreneurs understand this intuitively. They reinvest profits immediately instead of sitting on cash. They hire before they can afford it, trusting that revenue will follow. They spend money to make money, knowing that stagnation is the enemy of growth. But here's the advanced technique that separates the truly wealthy from everyone else. They declare abundance over every transaction. Never release money silently again. Every payment, every investment, every gift should be accompanied by spoken word that programs its return. This money is blessed to multiply and return to me increased. What I give returns to me tenfold. This circulation activates unlimited supply in my life. These aren't just positive affirmations. They're programming statements that direct universal energy. The transformation happens when you realize that your relationship with money mirrors your relationship with life itself. Generous people live abundant lives. Stingy people live constricted lives. The universe mirrors back whatever energy you consistently demonstrate. Your homework. Practice conscious circulation for the next 7 days. Every time money leaves your hands, speak blessing over it. Feel grateful for your ability to circulate rather than anxious about what you're losing. Watch how this simple shift begins attracting opportunities you never expected. Because in the next chapter, we're going to reveal the most counterintuitive wealth principle of all. Why acting rich before you are rich is the fastest way to become actually rich. The future self formula, living rich before you are rich. This might be the most controversial thing you'll hear today. Successful people don't wait for success to start acting successful. They act successful first. Then success has no choice but to catch up with their energy. This completely flips everything you've been taught about being humble and waiting your turn. The wealthy live in a different reality than everyone else. While broke people are constantly rehearsing their limitations, rich people are constantly rehearsing their abundance. They wake up feeling wealthy, make decisions from wealth, and expect wealthy outcomes, even when their bank account doesn't match their energy yet. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between vividly imagined experiences and real experiences. When you consistently feel wealthy, think wealthy thoughts, and make wealthy decisions, your brain starts rewiring itself to match that frequency. This isn't fake it till you make it positive thinking. This is biological reprogramming. When you genuinely embody wealth consciousness, your stress hormones decrease, your confidence increases, and you naturally start recognizing opportunities that were invisible to your scarcity-focused awareness. The ultra-successful understand this principle instinctively. Oprah talks about visualizing success long before she achieved it. Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million and carried it in his wallet for years. Conor McGregor declared he would be a champion when he was still broke and unknown. But here's where most people get this wrong. They try to act rich by buying expensive things they can't afford. That's not wealth consciousness. That's debt consciousness. True wealth consciousness is about embodying the feelings, decisions, and expectations of wealthy people, not copying their spending habits. Wealthy people feel secure about money. They make decisions quickly and confidently. They expect good things to happen. They speak with authority about their goals. They carry themselves like success is inevitable. These are internal states, not external purchases. The transformation happens when you start making decisions from your future wealthy self instead of your current circumstances. Ask yourself, how would the wealthy version of me handle this situation? What would a millionaire do here? How would someone with unlimited resources approach this problem? This shift in decision-making creates a completely different trajectory in your life. Instead of choosing based on fear and limitation, you start choosing based on abundance and possibility. Your entire path changes because your internal compass points toward wealth instead of scarcity. Here's the advanced technique that accelerates this process. Create a detailed vision of your wealthy future self and spend time with that person. Every morning, see how they dress, how they speak, how they carry themselves. Feel how confident and secure they are. Experience their excitement about opportunities and their gratitude for abundance. The more real you make this future self, the more your current self starts embodying those same qualities. Your posture changes, your voice becomes more authoritative, your decision-making improves, and your energy attracts different opportunities. But here's the part that skeptics always question. Won't this make me delusional or out of touch with reality? The answer is no, because you're not pretending your current circumstances are different. You're aligning your energy with your desired circumstances. Wealthy people think long-term, while poor people think short-term. Rich people make decisions based on their vision, while broke people make decisions based on their current bank balance. Successful people act from their potential, while unsuccessful people act from their problems. This principle works because the universe responds to your dominant energy frequency, not your temporary circumstances. When you consistently vibrate at the frequency of wealth through your thoughts, feelings, and expectations, reality begins reorganizing itself to match that vibration. The most successful people in history mastered this art of living from their vision instead of their current situation. They understood that external conditions are just temporary feedback, not permanent limitations. They knew that circumstances change when consciousness changes first. Your assignment: define your wealthy future self in detail. What do they believe about money? How do they feel throughout the day? What decisions do they make? What energy do they radiate? Then start embodying those qualities now, regardless of your current bank balance. Spend 10 minutes every morning connecting with this future version of yourself. Let their confidence become your confidence. Let their expectations become your expectations. Let their energy become your energy. Because in our next chapter, we're going to reveal why giving money away is actually the fastest way to attract more of it, and why most people's approach to generosity actually repels abundance instead of magnetizing it. The generosity paradox: why giving more creates more. Prepare to have your mind blown. The wealthiest people on earth are also the biggest givers. Not because they have money to spare, but because giving money away is literally how they created their wealth in the first place. This goes against every survival instinct you have, but it's the most reliable wealth-building strategy ever discovered. Warren Buffett has given away over $45 billion and somehow keeps getting richer. Bill Gates dedicated his fortune to charity and his net worth keeps climbing. The Rockefellers built their empire through systematic giving. These aren't coincidences. They're cause and effect relationships that most people can't wrap their heads around. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Giving money away is the ultimate demonstration of abundance consciousness. When you give freely and joyfully, you're programming your subconscious mind with the belief that there's always more where that came from. Your generous actions become evidence of your abundant nature. But most people approach giving from exactly the wrong frequency. They give reluctantly, hoping something good might happen, treating generosity like a cosmic lottery ticket. They give with anxiety about whether they can afford it, with resentment about others' needs, or with expectation of specific returns. This type of giving actually repels abundance because it broadcasts scarcity consciousness rather than abundance consciousness. The universe responds to your energy around giving, not just the mathematical transaction. Give with fear, and you activate more reasons to be fearful about money. Give with joy, and you activate more reasons to be joyful about abundance. The wealthy have discovered something profound. There's a specific formula for generous giving that guarantees multiplication. It's not about giving to get. It's about giving from a place of already having. They give from overflow, not from depletion. They give with declaration, not in silence. They give to principle, not just to people. Here's the advanced technique that separates strategic givers from emotional givers. Never release money without speaking over it. Every gift, every donation, every tip should be accompanied by conscious declaration that programs its return. This seed is blessed to multiply. What I give returns to me increased. This circulation activates unlimited supply. But here's where most people miss the deepest level of this law. True giving isn't about supporting other people's work. It's about honoring the universal principle of circulation itself. When you give to spiritual principle rather than just human need, you're entering into direct covenant with the laws that govern all supply. This is why tithing has been practiced by successful people throughout history. It's not religious obligation. It's spiritual technology. When you consistently give away the first 10% of your income with joy and expectation, you're training yourself to operate from abundance rather than scarcity. The transformation happens when you realize that giving isn't about losing money. It's about investing in guaranteed multiplication. The universe has no choice but to honor the circulation loop when it's activated with proper consciousness and declaration. Your generosity becomes a spiritual command that reality must obey. Watch how wealthy people give differently than everyone else. They don't give from guilt, obligation, or emotional manipulation. They give from spiritual law, understanding that generous circulation creates abundant return. They treat giving as business investment in universal supply rather than charitable donation to human need. The most successful entrepreneurs understand this principle instinctively. They pay their employees generously, tip service workers abundantly, and invest in their communities regularly. They know that money released with blessing returns with interest, while money hoarded from fear stagnates and decreases. But here's the part that accelerates results exponentially. Combine giving with gratitude. When you give money away while feeling grateful for your ability to give, you create a vibrational cocktail that the universe cannot resist responding to. Gratitude amplifies the multiplication factor of every dollar you release. The ultra-wealthy also understand timing. They don't wait until they can afford to give. They give first, then their ability to afford increases to match their generous capacity. They stretch themselves slightly with their giving, demonstrating faith that supply will meet their expanded circulation. Your assignment? Start systematic giving immediately, regardless of your current income level. Begin with whatever feels like a stretch, maybe 5% or 10% of your earnings. Give with joy, speak blessing over every gift, and expect multiplication. Watch how this practice begins attracting opportunities and abundance you never expected. Because in our next chapter, we're going to explore the most dangerous wealth killer of all, internal contradiction, and why most people's conscious desires are being sabotaged by their unconscious programming. The agreement accelerator, aligning your inner and outer worlds. Here's the brutal truth that most people will never hear. You can affirm abundance all day long, but if your deeper beliefs are programmed for scarcity, you'll sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. The universe doesn't respond to your conscious wishes. It responds to your predominant frequency, including all the unconscious programming running in the background. This is why most people experience yo-yo results with wealth building. They'll have a breakthrough, make some money, then mysteriously find ways to lose it again. They'll attract opportunities, then unconsciously sabotage them. They'll speak positively about money, then make jokes about being broke 5 minutes later. The wealthy understand something that broke people don't. Success requires complete internal agreement between all levels of your consciousness. Your conscious mind, subconscious programming, emotional patterns, and daily actions must all point in the same direction. When there's contradiction, your results will always be inconsistent. Think about this in your own experience. How often do you catch yourself speaking abundance while feeling scarcity? How frequently do you affirm prosperity while your deeper mind whispers doubts about worthiness or capability? These internal conflicts create scrambled signals that confuse the universe and delay your financial breakthrough indefinitely. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Over the years, you've made unconscious agreements with limitation. Family patterns that normalized struggle, cultural conditioning that romanticized poverty, casual conversations that reinforced lack, religious teachings that demonized wealth. These unconscious contracts are still operating in your subconscious, canceling out your conscious abundance efforts. The transformation happens when you realize that you must consciously dissolve these old agreements and sign new contracts with abundance. This isn't just positive thinking, it's spiritual contract revision. You must literally fire yourself from old agreements with lack and hire yourself into new agreements with wealth. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to override decades of programming with a few positive affirmations. That's like trying to change the direction of a freight train with a feather. Deep programming requires deep intervention. You must go to war with every limiting belief and replace it with an abundance conviction. The ultra-successful understand this principle instinctively. They don't just hope for wealth, they expect it with the same certainty they expect the sun to rise. Their internal and external worlds are in complete harmony around abundance. There's no contradiction between what they say, what they believe, and what they genuinely expect to happen. This level of agreement creates unstoppable momentum because your entire being starts pulling in the same direction. Your words support your beliefs. Your emotions support your actions. Your expectations support your results. You become a unified force rather than a divided consciousness. Here's the advanced technique for achieving internal agreement. You must consciously identify and burn every contract you've made with limitation. Write down every limiting belief about money you've inherited from family, culture, or experience. Then formally declare, I dissolve this agreement and choose abundance instead. But it's not enough to just dissolve old contracts. You must actively install new agreements through repetition and emotional conviction. Your new contracts with wealth must be repeated daily until they feel more natural than your old contracts with lack. This is deep psychological work that most people aren't willing to do. The wealthy also understand that agreement requires constant maintenance. They don't assume that one mindset shift will permanently change their consciousness. They practice abundance thinking daily, catch contradictory thoughts immediately, and consistently align their internal state with their external goals. This is why successful people seem to have such unshakable confidence about money. It's not because they never doubt, it's because they've trained themselves to catch doubt immediately and redirect it towards expectation. They've developed internal discipline around their financial consciousness. The most powerful practice for developing agreement is what I call contradiction catching. Throughout your day, notice every moment when your conscious desires contradict your unconscious expectations. When you catch yourself hoping for wealth while expecting struggle, immediately interrupt the pattern and choose the abundance frequency instead. Your assignment for the next 7 days, become a detective of your own internal contradictions. Notice every time your words don't match your beliefs or your beliefs don't match your expectations. Each contradiction you catch and correct is a step towards the internal agreement that makes external abundance inevitable. Write down your old agreements with limitation, then formally release them. Create new agreements with abundance and repeat them until they become your new unconscious programming. Watch how this internal alignment creates external results that seemed impossible before. Because now that you understand all 7 laws, it's time to put them together in a systematic practice that can transform your entire financial reality in just 7 days. The wealthy aren't wealthy by accident. They follow specific protocols that guarantee results. Your breakthrough is waiting. For your breakthrough in consistency.